Now hold on tight, because what I'm about to say might just have you spitting out your coffee, clutching your pearls, and side-eyeing your group chat at the same time. Imagine this: the queen of messy reality TV drama, Tamar Braxton, and love, and hip-hop's very own trouble magnet, Mendeecees Harris, allegedly caught up in a scandal so wild, it makes daytime soap operas look like bedtime stories. Oh, you thought reality TV couldn't get any messier? Baby, reality just packed her bags, moved in, and started paying rent. But wait, how did Tamar, the woman who can turn a family dinner into a 5-episode season arc, end up tangled in whispers with Mendeecees, the man whose marriage to Yandy Smith has been painted as black love goals for years? Are we really looking at a forbidden connection, or is this just another round of social media detectives connecting dots that don't even exist? And let's not forget, where there's Tamar, there's always cryptic posts, shady one-liners, and just enough smoke to make you wonder if there's a full-blown fire raging behind the scenes. So grab your popcorn, your magnifying glass, and maybe even a helmet, because the scandal I'm about to break down isn't just gossip. It's giving betrayal, broken vows, and maybe even a little late-night rendezvous tea you never saw coming. When it comes to scandals that shake the entertainment industry to its core, you have to admit there are few names more fitting to be right at the center of it than Tamar Braxton and Mendeecees Harris, because the mix of their reputations alone is enough to make the gossip blogs explode with theories and speculation. Tamar has always been larger than life, both on stage and on screen. She is the woman who can belt out a note that makes you feel every ounce of her pain and then flip a dinner table during a family gathering like she is auditioning for her own spin-off. She thrives in chaos and somehow manages to turn her lowest points into compelling storylines that keep her fans hooked. Her love life has been a public roller coaster, from her turbulent marriage with Vincent Herbert that collapsed under the weight of constant scrutiny and accusations, to her later engagement with Jeremy Robinson that also ended in heartbreak and left her followers dissecting every cryptic social media post she dropped afterward. Tamar has never shied away from telling her truth, even when it has left her vulnerable, which is why people are always quick to connect her name to any possible romantic drama that surfaces. On the other side of this scandal, you have Mendeecees Harris, who carved his place on Love and hip-hop as the husband of Yandy Smith, a man whose storyline was centered on his legal troubles, prison time, and his eventual return home to a wife and family who waited for him against all odds. Their narrative was sold to the audience as a symbol of loyalty, commitment, and black love that conquers every obstacle. But underneath that polished image, Mendeecees has always carried the label of a man who attracts trouble, a man whose past, choices, and questionable associations have left him one step away from controversy at all times. So when whispers began to circulate that Tamar and Mendeecees had been spotted together at industry events looking a little too comfortable, people did not brush it off as coincidence. They immediately connected the dots and saw scandal written all over it. In the world of celebrity gossip, you do not need hard evidence. You just need vibes, a glance held too long, a laugh shared a little too closely, or a blurry photo snapped at the right angle, and the audience will do the rest of the work by building an entire storyline from nothing. That is exactly what happened here. Tamar shows up in the same room as Mendeecees, and suddenly fans are whispering that there is chemistry, that something feels off, that maybe there is more going on behind the scenes than either of them is willing to admit. Once that seed of suspicion is planted, it grows like wildfire, especially when Tamar herself is known for posting cryptic statements about betrayal, loyalty, and love lost. Messages that may very well be about her personal journey but become fodder for speculation when fans are already in detective mode. Every word she writes gets twisted into a possible clue, and every silence from Mendeecees gets painted as guilt, because in the eyes of the public, if you are not denying it loudly, then you must be hiding something. The situation gets even messier. When you consider Tamar and Yandy's paths have crossed before within the same entertainment circles, they have been seen at similar events, shared mutual friendships, and even appeared supportive of one another on social media. So the thought of Tamar being linked romantically to Yandy's husband feels like a betrayal that cuts deeper than a casual fling. It feels like someone breaking the unspoken bond between women in the same industry. Fans who once rooted for Tamar to find happiness are suddenly divided, some arguing she would never do something so reckless to another woman. Others convinced her track record with messy relationships makes the rumor entirely believable. At high, the same time, supporters of Yandy and Mendeecees are horrified at the thought that their carefully constructed brand of love and loyalty could be a facade crumbling in real time. This is the perfect storm of reality TV gossip, because Tamar brings the chaos, Mendeecees brings the history, and Yandy brings the heart, creating a triangle that screams scandal. Yet when you strip back the layers and look for actual proof, you will not find any pictures of them holding hands or video evidence of late-night rendezvous. What you find instead is rumor, speculation, and the powerful imagination of social media users who thrive on drama. Still, perception often outweighs reality in celebrity culture, and in this case, the perception is that Tamar and Mendeecees are caught up in something that should never have happened. Once a narrative like that begins to spin, it does not matter how much the people involved deny it, because the silence, the vague responses, and the lack of clarity all become fuel for the fire. This is how a simple interaction can morph into the scandal of the year, because in the world of fame, nothing remains private. Every secret eventually surfaces, and every rumor carries the weight of possibility until the truth is finally exposed. The whispers grew louder. The story began to take on a life of its own, because in today's digital world, once a rumor catches fire, it spreads faster than any press release can contain. And that is exactly what happened with Tamar and Mendeecees, as bloggers dug deep into old videos, resurfaced photos, and even pulled together random Instagram likes to create what they claimed was undeniable proof of a secret connection. Suddenly, every clip of Tamar laughing around Mendeecees was interpreted as flirtation. Every shared glance was exaggerated into a spark, and every coincidental appearance in the same venue was transformed into evidence of something scandalous. What really poured gasoline on the fire was the sudden circulation of an alleged leaked audio recording said to be a private conversation between Tamar and Mendeecees, where the two voices discussed personal struggles in a tone that seemed far too intimate for just friends. Whether the tape was authentic or manufactured by someone chasing clout did not matter, because the moment it hit gossip pages, the audience was convinced they were listening to a hidden truth. Tamar's reputation for speaking out whenever she feels attacked made her silence even more suspicious to fans, because normally she would shut down lies instantly with a fiery clapback. But this time her response was vague and filled with ambiguous statements about people wanting to see her fail, and about not owing anyone an explanation for her friendships, which left just enough room for the speculation to grow instead of dying down. On the other side, Mendeecees remained calm, choosing not to directly engage the narrative, which some interpreted as confidence, while others saw it as a classic case of damage control, the kind of silence a guilty man uses to avoid adding fuel to an already uncontrollable fire. Behind the scenes, so-called insiders claimed that this alleged bond between Tamar and Mendeecees began months earlier at an industry party where both were said to be in vulnerable emotional states, Tamar still grappling with the aftermath of heartbreak and Mendeecees feeling the weight of constant public scrutiny and private tension within his marriage to Yandy. According to these whispers, what started as innocent conversation slowly grew into a deeper connection, not necessarily physical at first, but emotional, which in the eyes of many is just as damaging. And some sources even suggested that it was Mendeecees who pursued Tamar because he admired her boldness and her ability to speak unfiltered truths, in ways he felt were missing from his own relationship. The idea that Mendeecees could be the one chasing Tamar flipped the story completely, because it painted Tamar not as the aggressor, but as the one caught in a web spun by a man who, as always, had a complicated relationship with loyalty. Once these insider claims reached the blogs, the fan base exploded into two warring camps, one side swearing that Tamar would never betray another woman, especially someone in her professional circle, and the other insisting that Tamar's past, with messy relationships, made the possibility entirely believable. Yandy's name quickly entered the center of the storm, because for years she has been celebrated as the strong, loyal wife who held her man down during his incarceration and built a family brand on the image of resilience and black love. So the mere suggestion that Tamar might be interfering in that marriage felt like the ultimate betrayal to many fans. Reports soon followed that Yandy confronted Mendeecees behind closed doors, demanding answers and making it clear that if there was even a sliver of truth in the rumors, his entire reputation and their marriage would collapse under the weight of public scrutiny. The story took an even sharper turn when a close friend of Tamar allegedly leaked that Tamar had admitted to feeling drawn to Mendeecees because he understood her pain in a way few people could, a statement that fueled the idea of an emotional affair, which, while lacking physical evidence, still carried the sting of betrayal. This angle quickly dominated headlines, framing Tamar as the villainous other woman and Mendeecees as a man risking everything for a dangerous connection, while Yandy was portrayed as the innocent wife left blindsided by people she once considered allies. Fans combed through old footage of Tamar and Yandy at public events smiling together, posing for pictures and showing public support. And once the rumor broke, many noticed Tamar stopped liking Yandy's posts and commenting on her updates, while Yandy quietly unfollowed Tamar without explanation, a silent move that spoke louder than any public statement could. Things escalated when Tamar posted another cryptic message on her story, suggesting that sometimes the ones who preach loyalty the loudest are the ones who cannot handle it themselves. A line fans instantly linked to Yandy, though others argued it was Tamar's way of defending herself. Meanwhile, television producers reportedly began circling the story like vultures, recognizing the explosive potential it had for reality TV ratings. And according to sources, there were already conversations happening about bringing Tamar, Mendeecees, and Yandy face-to-face on camera to confront the rumors, the kind of scene that would guarantee record-breaking viewership. But beyond the entertainment value, the consequences of these whispers were already real. Tamar's reputation as a woman trying to rebuild her image after years of public battles was at risk of crumbling again. Mendeecees was suddenly painted as an unfaithful husband despite years of Yandy's loyalty, and Yandy herself was forced to watch the brand she had built around family values shaken by something she could not easily control. The scandal was no longer just gossip. It had become a storyline powerful enough to alter public perception, damage careers, and leave scars that no carefully crafted PR statement could erase. As the drama tightened its grip, the public fascination reached fever pitch because what started as whispers of an alleged connection had now spiraled into a cultural debate about loyalty, friendship, fame, and betrayal. And the more Tamar and Mendeecees stayed vague, the more convinced people became that there was some truth hiding behind the shadows. Social media detectives were not just satisfied with leaked audio or old photos. They began dissecting everything from body language in past interviews to song lyrics Tamar had posted years earlier, trying to craft a timeline that linked her to Mendeecees in ways that stretched beyond reason, but still captured the attention of millions. Even late-night podcasts and YouTube channels that thrive on hot takes jumped into the fray, with so-called analysts pausing grainy clips of Tamar, laughing too hard at Mendeecees' jokes backstage and circling moments in red as if they had uncovered the missing frame in a criminal case. What really pushed things over the edge, though, were claims that Tamar and Mendeecees had been spotted by an associate in a private lounge after an industry event, sitting far too close for comfort and speaking in hushed tones that did not look like casual business talk. And while there was no photo evidence, the description alone was enough to give the internet all it needed to fuel the storm. The problem is that once a story like this catches momentum, it stops being about proof and starts being about perception, and in the world of celebrity scandal, perception is everything. Suddenly, Tamar's fans were split, with some defending her as a woman unfairly painted as a homewrecker, while others argued she had to take accountability for putting herself in situations that could be misconstrued. Mendeecees' image as the man Yandy had waited for during his prison sentence was being dismantled piece by piece as critics labeled him reckless, disloyal, and selfish. And poor Yandy, who built an entire brand around loyalty, resilience, and the image of black love, was left in the uncomfortable position of being forced to either ignore the storm and hope it blew over, or address it directly and risk validating it further. Insiders whispered that Yandy had reached her breaking point behind closed doors, allegedly telling friends that if Mendeecees had even entertained Tamar on an emotional level, it was not just betrayal of their marriage, but betrayal of everything they had publicly built together for over a decade. The tension was so thick that even Tamar's family, particularly her sisters, were said to be warning her to distance herself before the situation destroyed whatever credibility she had regained after years of personal battles. Yet Tamar's public stance remained frustratingly cryptic as she continued posting vague messages about self-worth, betrayal, and loyalty that only fanned the flames. To make matters worse, reports began circulating that producers of Love and Hip Hop were already editing upcoming episodes to weave the whispers into the narrative, suggesting that the scandal was no longer just gossip, but official television content. And once the cameras air a version of events, it becomes even harder for the people involved to undo the damage, because viewers often accept edited drama as gospel truth. For Tamar, the risk was enormous because while controversy has often boosted her visibility, this particular storyline threatened to define her as the villain in someone else's marriage, a label that carries consequences far beyond music charts or reality TV ratings. For Mendeecees, the fallout could mean more than just embarrassment, because whispers of possible legal trouble began surfacing as gossip pages speculated about financial entanglements, misuse of funds, and lavish spending. Tied to secret meetings with Tamar, exaggerated claims that may not have been rooted in fact, but added the kind of spice that kept people hooked. It was not enough anymore to accuse them of flirting. The narrative had escalated to alleged cover-ups, luxury getaways, and betrayal plotted in silence, a storyline that blurred the line between entertainment and destruction. And while no official charges or lawsuits appeared, the very idea that investigations could be looming was enough to make fans feel like they were witnessing the unraveling of two public figures live in real time. By this point, even casual viewers who had no interest in reality TV were pulled into the chaos because mainstream outlets began covering the story, framing it as the ultimate cautionary tale of how friendships, marriages, and careers can collapse when scandal strikes. Every new rumor, every cryptic post, every silent unfollow on social media became breaking news for the day, and the cycle fed itself until Tamar, Mendeecees, and Yandy were all trapped in a vortex of public opinion that would not let go. In truth, no one outside their inner circles could say for sure if Tamar and Mendeecees had actually crossed the line, or if they were simply guilty of bad timing and worse optics. But by the time a rumor grows this loud, the distinction almost does not matter because the damage is already done. The trust between Tamar and Yandy appears fractured beyond repair. Mendeecees' reputation as a loyal husband has been deeply shaken, and Tamar's already fragile public image is being dragged once again through the mud of scandal. Yet even with all this chaos, the public cannot look away, because scandals like this are not just stories, they are spectacles. And whether Tamar and Mendeecees are guilty or innocent, they have already become the main characters in a narrative that is guaranteed to keep trending until the next shocking twist arrives. And here we are standing at the edge of one of the juiciest scandals reality, TV, and R&B culture has ever served up. And the question still burns hotter than ever: what do you believe, is Tamar Braxton really caught up in something forbidden with Mendeecees Harris? Or have the internet detectives spun a wild tale out of glances, cryptic posts, and industry whispers? The truth is hanging in the balance, and while we may not have the full picture yet, the damage has already been done, reputations shaken, friendships fractured, and fans left gasping for answers. But this is where you come in, because scandals like this do not just live in gossip blogs. They live in the comment sections, the debates, and the late-night conversations we have with friends. Do you think Tamar is being unfairly painted as the villain? Or do you think Mendeecees crossed a line that cannot be undone? Is Yandy the silent queen playing chess while everyone else plays checkers? Or is she the true victim of betrayal? Drop your thoughts below, because I want to hear every theory, every hot take, and every bold prediction. And while you are here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because trust me, this fire is not dying down anytime soon, and the next chapter could be even messier.